Good evening, welcome to
Minute Math number 13.
Minute Math number 13. These are some really cool problems that the Mathematical Association of America is putting out. And actually this is a famous kind of problem. This is a neat math contest problem that's usually done with trains, where they say two trains leave the station and you have to figure out when they meet. But this one's about two kids and their bikes. Josh and Mike live 13 miles apart. How far do they live apart?
13.
Good. Yesterday, Josh started to ride his bike towards Mike's house. A little later, Mike started to ride his bike towards Josh's house. Okay, so we have this. It's 13 miles. Okay, so Josh, let's say this is Josh. He starts going this way. This is Mike. He starts going this way. Okay. So Josh started to ride his bike towards Mike's house. Zhink. A little later, Mike started to ride his bike towards Josh's house. Zhink. When they met, Josh had ridden for twice the length of time as Mike and at 4/5 of Mike's rate. How many miles had Mike ridden when they met? Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa. Okay?
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
So we know the time. If Josh rode for twice the length as Mike, so let's call Mike goes for time t and Josh goes for 2t, right?
Yep.
And at 4/5 of Mike's rate, so if Mike's rate was, what do you want to call it, x?
Yep.
This was 4/5 x. Do you know any equations about rate times time?
It's distance.
Distance equals rate times time. So this distance, Josh went 8/5 times whatever t times x is.
Yep.
And Mike just went t times x. So this is Mike's distance, t times x.
Yep.
And this is Josh's distance, 8/5 t times x. Okay?
Yep.
Now, we don't know what t times x is. Well, let's just call it d to make it not be too confusing. This is 8/5 d and this is d. Okay, and we're trying to figure out how far Mike went. Okay, do we know anything about the two distances?
Well, d is bigger than an 8/5 d.
D is bigger than 8/5 d?
No.
No. Mike was going this way, Josh was going this way. This is Josh's distance, 8/5 d. This is Mike's distance, d. Do we know anything about those two distances? This distance plus this distance?
Well, it said that Josh had ridden for twice the length.
Right, that's twice the amount of time.
Oh.
Twice the length of time. Okay, so that's how we got 8/5 d and that's how we got d. But what do we know about these distances? This distance plus this distance has to be?
Has to be 13.
Why?
Because it said in the beginning that they live 13 miles apart.
Aha. So we know that d plus 8/5 d equals 13. And we're trying to figure out how many miles Mike went. That's d. We're trying to figure out what d is. Okay?
Yep.
All right. So, do you think you can solve this equation?
Maybe.
I'm going to erase the problem. And I'll write it on the board for you. D plus 8/5 d is 13. D plus 8/5 times d equals 13. Okay, go ahead. Give it a try. See if you can solve for d.
Well, we could get rid of the fractions.
Okay, how would you do that?
I would multiply by 5 on either side.
So what does that do?
It cancels this, and we get left with d plus 8d is 13 times 5 is 65. So we're left with this.
No. Try again. What do you want to do? You want to multiply by 5, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have to do? you have to multiply everything by 5. So multiply that by 5. Very good. You forgot your parentheses. Okay. So what do you get when you multiply this?
So you get
5D plus
8. Well, that's it. Actually 8D.
That's where the 5 cancels. 8D equals
65.
65. There you go.
So 5 plus 8 is 13.
13D
D is 65.
equals 65.
So D is 5.
So D is 5. So the distance was 5. Okay, so that's a pretty tricky problem.
5 miles.
Right? The distance Mike wrote is 5 miles. But the important thing was you got to remember those parentheses, right?
Yep.
Because otherwise...
Uh-oh.
Okay. Good job tonight, honey. That was a tricky problem, but that's a fun problem too.
Yep.
Tricky problem, but a fun problem.